real estate, securities, and you were one of the first places I ever went a couple decades ago, believe it or not, when it came to investing in real estate. I've told you this before. I read many of your articles. You have books, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I want to talk about for the rest of the show is investing in real estate. What are your thoughts on people of our generation, the next generation? Do you have concern about where they're going to be and the economy, even though we live in one of the best countries in the world? Will CPP be there? Will the Ontario, OAS be there? What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel?
Well, I do have a concern because, today we know, Rob, that there's a lot of people that are running very high in debt, and the only saving grace for them is interest rates. They're so low today that they can kind of, go under the radar, kind of
being a bit bamboozled, right? Thinking everything's great, but.
And I had this discussion with the clients yesterday that, people sometimes, it's like in every economy, people might be losing jobs, et cetera, but the saving grace as well is, housing prices have continued to go up every year, 3%, 5%, 7%. So if you bought a house 3 years ago and you're in a bad situation today, 3 years later, people wouldn't know. You'd go under the radar because you'd sell your house, you have enough equity built in just
or
by
you
sheer
refinance.
Or you refinance, get yourself more in debt. So that's a big concern. And we all know at some point rates are going to change. Rates will go up. They can't stay at 2.9, 3% fixed your money for 5 years indefinitely.
So what is Papa McDaddy? What is the paternal advice that you would want to give Rav and even the next Ravs? Like, listen, don't do this and do this. If you were just, not to mix words, Sam, what would you say?
Yeah, I'll share one real quick story, then I'll talk about that as well. So when I was studying in the States and I did an MBA and I graduated, went back a year or two later to watch a game with one of my friends there. He's working for a fee-based financial company, and they're working with clients like Arthur Blank, who is the owner of Home Depot, et cetera. So, we had some pretty high-end net worth folks. And he asked me, Sammy, how are you doing these days? I said, Davey, I'm doing great. I'm making X dollars a year. I'm really happy. He goes, well, let me ask you this one question. If you couldn't work for 6 months, how would you be? This is going back 20 years ago.
If you
couldn't work for 6 months.
If you couldn't work
for
physically?
6 months.
Physically?
Yeah, you didn't have income coming in for 6 months.
Got it.
How would your life be?
Yeah.
And I sat back and I thought, not so good, Davey. I guess what comes in like the average person, most of it's going out back then, right? There very little is being saved.
This was how long ago?
20 plus years ago, right?
The conversation?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Okay.
20 years ago. So now all of a sudden the light went on. I said, you know what? This is it. I've got to start thinking about building a residual income so that down the road, I'm never going to be reliant on anybody. So if I decide I don't want to work after, 1 or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, it's my decision. But I enjoy work, so I'll work forever, but it's only a personal decision. So at that point, I started building, the financial asset base. So I'd buy real estate properties, I'd give out mortgages. And he said, the key figure you have to think about, Sam, is how much do you need to live on a monthly basis?
Yeah.
What do you need on per month? And get to that in terms of positive cash flow.
So let's stop right there for a second, and then you continue.
Yeah.
So the key question to ask is, how much money do I need, net dollars, to be able to live monthly?
Correct.
That's the question that he asked. So you came up with that number.
Yeah.
So, in Toronto, if we could squeak by a family of 4, net dollars, maybe $6K, $8K, sure, in one of the most expensive cities in all the world to live in, for a family of 4, you might be able to squeak by with 6 to 8K. So this is the question he asked. And so the person would say to themselves, okay, I need 6 to 8K. I need $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Okay, go ahead.
Perfect. So and that's exactly what happened in my mind. He said, Sammy, think about what you need, and then you set yourself up to reach that goal, hopefully over whatever number of years. I was fortunate enough, and I was in a position where I was making a good income, so I could fast track that, right? So in terms of, so I started buying real estate, right? And I was, now it's a leverage game. I'm risk averse a little bit, so I like to pay off the debt, which is probably not ideal in many scenarios. But you
sleep good at night.
I sleep good at night. So for me, it was a personal decision. Being risk averse, it made sense for me. So I worked really hard, and I, bought real estate. I started giving out mortgage money, second mortgages, and I got there pretty quick, right?
So you started lending people money. You became the bank.
That's right.
If somebody needed $100,000 or they need a couple $100,000, you would lend them money. They would pay you an interest. So you made money that way as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So within 3 to 5 years, I reached that goal. One thing changed though. Now my goal was higher. So once you reach that goal, the number changed, but it set the bar for me now to have good counsel for my clients as well. When I'm talking to clients, I tell them the exact same story. Guys, it's great you're making X, Y, Z per year, but if everything's going away, you've nothing to show for at the end of the year, it's really all for naught, right? So you have to start thinking long-term planning, because believe it or not, in my 20, 25 years of real estate went by real quick. Life goes by quick. And before you know it, you're at your retirement age and you haven't planned for it. And that's a real tragedy, right? So
No, that's great advice. And I think what you said there was brilliant. without even saying the words, I find, Sam, that the biggest mistake we make, and Rav has made before in the past, is that we don't put a ceiling on our lifestyle, right? The secret, I think, is to be able to have a ceiling on lifestyle, take the rest and invest it. But if we keep making more money and then keep living larger and larger and larger, at the end of the day, when we want to stop, we can't, because when we stop, the money stops. But if you can put a ceiling on life, you know, this is my life, this is how much, and not change it, take the difference and then invest it, I think that's how you made your initial. Then later, once you have that, then you can,
delaying gratification. So if you do that and you pay the price in the front end years, the back end years, everything changes. Because then now, you know, you've got where you are where you want to be, and then you can spend more if you choose to. That's your decision. Or you can give more, you can do what you want.
So let me shoot some questions out at you, and you answer yes, no, investment, lifestyle. Okay? So let me shoot it out. Principal residence, paid for or mortgage?
You know, it's a good question. I'm personally, I paid for it personally. That's
And so then I would say, so Sam McDaddy doesn't owe any money to anybody in his beautiful house that Rav comes to a couple times.
That's right.
It makes sense numbers-wise, or it helps Sam sleep at night?
Yeah, truthfully, and that's a great question, because it helps Sam sleep at night, because that's kind of my makeup, right?
Fantastic.
So, so I know at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if I could wait on tables, I'm fine, because everything's paid for. So that's my personal makeup.
Love it.
Can we do better, potentially take that money and invest? Absolutely.
Numbers-wise. No, and I love that answer, because, and that's what I want people to hear, that there's a difference between financial peace and financial freedom, right? There's a big difference between financial peace and financial freedom, meaning that, you know, I know a lot of financially free people that can't sleep at night, but there's a difference. Sam is fully at peace. Obviously, there's other things going on, but you're at peace, you can sleep at night, and so this is what Sam wants to do. I love that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, does Sam invest in securities? Do we have TFSA? Do we have, because you're Mr. Real Estate here, if not, just Canada, definitely province. Does Sam McDaddy, Mr. Real Estate, have securities? Does he have RSPs? Does he have TFSAs? Does he have that kind of stuff? Yes or no?
Yes.
For investment purposes, sheltering taxes, sleep at night, why?
Many years ago, I was involved in the RSP world, so I topped up. And there's times...
Because you were a finance guy.
That's right. So I did that for tax benefit purposes. So today, am I as bullish? Probably not as much. The RSPs we've seen, the peaks and valleys, and the returns overall haven't been super great. But yes, I do have, a percentage of the portfolio in that.
Well, and somebody would say, because we never had this conversation, we're having it the first time on TV, and I know you don't mind, but you would say to me, I'm guessing, yeah, Rav, it makes sense, because I can bring down my personal income, even if it's a measly, because you do very well, even if it's a measly $20,000 a year, I can bring it down and put it wherever I want. It's not like I have to just make 2% on my RSPs. You can direct it to stocks. You can direct it wherever you want.
That's right. That's exactly right.
No.
Right.
And I think it's very important to hear, because whenever I'm speaking publicly, whenever I'm speaking on TV, whether I'm a guest, I think I can do, and so I want you to hear this very clearly, I think I can do an injustice sometimes, because Rav doesn't own any securities. Rav doesn't even own a home. But that's how I sleep at night. It doesn't mean it's for you. You've got to do what's best for you. Sam is much more successful than me. I learned from him. I'm a student of his, and you say this is what you do. But you're not saying it's for everyone. You're saying because this is what allows the geniuses to come in Sam's brain. It allows you to flourish. It allows you to sleep at night.
It's my comfort level.
Yeah, it's your comfort
level.
That's
exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got to stop talking. We haven't gotten to the numbers, and we already got to go to a break here pretty soon. But Sam, I just want to say, if I haven't said it before, I appreciate how down to earth you are. You do very well, and you're always willing to nurture. And so your name's on the screen, your website. People can call in and get even advice. It's not like we're a lawyer. The clock is clicking. I know the answer is yes, but I just want to hear you say that.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.